it's time for Movie Friends with your hosts Michelle and Seth. We're talking film without pretension. We're finding cats that are unexpected. We'll watch a movie, film, or schmovie, and we want you to join our journey. So subscribe and share this podcast, or this might just be the last of the Movie Friends. We're movie friends. We want to be your movie friends.
Hey, welcome to Movie Friends. I'm sitting here with my friend Michelle Rubenstein, who would never dream of stealing fizzy lifting drink.
And I'm here with my friend Seth Vargas, who is indeed a good egg.
Hey, welcome to Food-uary.
Wow, Seth. I can't believe we're actually doing this. I remember when you wrote this down as an idea and I LOL'd. I was like, oh, he's serious.
You know, as we've done this show now for a few years, there are several films that Michelle and I both agree it's kind of weird we haven't done yet. And we just kind of haven't done them because we do these monthly themes. And I like the monthly themes, kind of helps keep us in one, headspace for a bit.
Yeah.
So some of the month's themes this year are really ridiculous. And it's just because we wanted to do like one movie and then we kind of built a theme around it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hence Food-uary and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Perfection.
I see you're wearing your Tony Clifton shirt.
I am.
Yes.
Oh, this shirt brings me so much joy. It really does. Like, actually, I'm on eBay right now trying to get the yellow T-shirt, the women's wrestling champion.
Oh, very cool.
At Andy Kaufman wore. Yes, trying to get that. I know.
Wow.
I'm like, Michelle, how many Andy Kaufman shirts does one need? I only have one, but I want that one, and then I want Andy's. Was it Andy's Funhouse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want that, but I want like one from that everybody wore in the audience, and that's really hard to find. I really want that.
Well, best of luck to you. Please
Thank you
keep
so
us
much.
updated.
Thank you so much. What's going on with you?
Oh my gosh, so much stuff.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Documentary prep this week.
Oh, wow.
Went super well. Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
that's coming. And then my parents are coming to visit. And so my mom and I are recording our last episode on the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Are you sad?
For Patreon. No. I have the journey has been very eye-opening.
Yes.
But we're ready to move past this one franchise and start talking about other action movies. So we're very excited for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, we do a show for our Patreon, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast, called Stop or My Mom Will Podcast, where we talk about action movies. And we started out with Fast and Furious, and it's been really eye-opening. I'll say that.
Well, you've expressed, but you've expressed your feelings, and I've texted you because I've been curious on the side and be like, yo, what did you learn from doing this show? But I have to say, I think out of all of our podcast cover arts, that one has the best one.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I'm proud. That took a lot of
Photoshop.
Not even Photoshop. I don't even use Photoshop.
No,
just
but
free
I feel like
internet
I always
tool photoshopping skills. Yeah.
Right, like the verb is Photoshop, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. What's going on with you?
Not much. Like I said, looking on eBay, working on streamlining my video podcasting. So I look forward to better lighting in the future. Hopefully this is going to get enhanced in some way.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Michelle had asked in our Discord if anyone watches clips on Spotify.
I would love to know.
And I know that you and I have talked about this, but like I didn't even really know that was a thing.
Yeah, I've been adding our clips to our Spotify episodes every week. And I also add them for over on Total Betty Podcast Network for We Are Liars. And I asked our Discord, and then I asked the Total Betty Discord, and it was the one total, but nobody responded over there. So I'm like, maybe no one's listening on Spotify. And our patrons didn't even really know videos were a thing over on Spotify.
Wow.
So
yeah, if you know about this, please let Michelle know.
Please send us an email. And are you into video podcasts? How are you consuming?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Also, big cool news this week. We had Alex Goldman on the show.
Wow.
For Wolfman.
Speechless.
I mean, look, everybody's just a person, but pretty cool, you know?
It's pretty cool. We've been fans of Alex's for a very long time.
Yeah, like, Reply All was one of the first podcasts that I listened to when I started listening to podcasts regularly.
Yeah.
So just that happened, I was like, oh, it's pretty surreal.
It's pretty cool too, because we were saying that, well, besides Jean Marie, we're like the only people we know who listen to Reply All. So like in our friend group and out of our friends. So that's pretty cool too. To like be like, hey Seth, I talked to Alex. And you'd be like, hey Michelle, I talked to Alex. Oh wait, we were there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very cool.
And because of Alex, I went and saw Wolfman. So
he's left
an impact.
Large mark on your life in 2 ways.
Yes.
Hey, we got some emails.
Email.
First subject line is Shrek the Third.
Ooh.
And it says, this is my favorite version of Seth. If you ever do a new show, it would be hate watches only. I would pay extra for that.
Oh my gosh. New tier on Patreon.
Yeah, Seth, just angry Seth.
Mm-hmm.
It would be mostly, you know what it would be? Kids movies. Because I watched so many terrible, horrible kids movies.
Yeah, I mean, it might be fun to hear that perspective.
The thought of Shrek babies makes me sick. Please rewrite this movie and perform it. It couldn't possibly be worse. P.S. Anyone who rates this 5 stars should be put on a list.
Oh, wow.
P.S.S. The fact that this movie made $800 million is absolute insanity, and we should cease to exist as the human race. And Ben wrote that letter, and I agree on all points.
Thank you for your passion, Ben.
Yes. Now, counterpoint. Dun dun. We got another email. Subject line is Shrek the Third.
What? 2 Shrek the Third emails?
This person says, you're wrong about Shrek the Third. Okay.
It's like we're having a panel right now.
You're wrong about Shrek the Third, and I'm right. I will not be elaborating on this. I was making a mean face the whole time I listened to this, but it was very funny. And I loved hearing Michelle try to make sense of the movie while Seth just says, I hate this movie over and over again. Great episode, even if it did hurt to listen to so much Shrek negativity. Very excited for Shrek 4, which I also love. And that is from Josie.
Josie, thank you so much.
I think I said more than just I hate this movie. I think maybe she was hearing what she wanted to hear.
Yeah, I think you had some good points. I still believe in our rewrite and performing it at dinner theater.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah. All of our suggestions were good.
We're better than what we watched.
Hey, if you want to be like Ben and Josie, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about Food-uary, where we finished out 3 trilogies.
Wait, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you Food-uary just makes me think of cats, because cats will do this thing where they go that's called trilling.
Trilling, yeah.
Yeah. So we should have just covered cat movies during
Maybe
Food-uary.
next year Food-uary will return. Can you imagine? Somehow Food-uary has returned and it's all cat months. But that trill will have 2 L's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Sure. Send us an email. Let us know if we should do Food-uary. What about Chill-uary? Now we're getting further from what makes sense.
Like movies that have chili in it?
Cold. Well.
Oh.
Yeah, all the famous chilly moments from film.
I was like, how many could there be? But Seth must know.
Well, now, see, I said that, but now in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I have to find all the chili movies now.
Chili. Okay, move on.
So, hey, Food-uary, we're starting with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory from 1971. Directed by Mel Stewart, written by Roald Dahl and David Seltzer, cinematography by Arthur Ibbotson, composed by Leslie Bricusse and Anthony Newley, edited by David Saxon, costume design by Helen Kolvig, starring Peter Ostrom, Jack Albertson, Julie Dawn Cole, Denise Nickerson, Paris Themin, Michael Bullner, and Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. Michelle, you want to read our summary this week?
Surely. The world has gone crazy with chocolate fever. The reclusive owner of the most fantastic candy company in the world has released 5 golden tickets in chocolate bars, the finders of which will win a lifetime supply of chocolate and a tour of the factory. Mike TV, Augustus Gloop, Violet Beauregard, Veruca Salt, and Charlie Bucket will have their lives changed forever when they encounter Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Ooh, very nice. I liked your Augustus Gloop.
Augustus Gloop! Augustus, stop!
Augustus, save some room for later. That's something that we said all the time as kids. Augustus, save some room for later. Before we start talking about the movie, we guess what each other are going to rate the film. And this is for Pickles. We're playing for Pickles here. And you and I have barely spoken about this movie.
Yeah, I've just sent you like style inspiration shots.
There's one thing I knew you were going to text me about, and that's the bed. But apart from the old people's bed, we haven't done anything.
Well, I'll bring it up. Okay. All right. Let me focus here.
I'm going to go a little weird here, but I think, okay, if I get this one, I'll be impressed with myself. All right, I'm done. I've written it down. I'm locked in.
I'm also locked in.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You had not seen this since you were younger.
Yes. So I haven't seen it since I was, obviously watched this a lot growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Then watched it as a teenager. And then I haven't seen it probably since my early 20s because Aunt and I went as Willy Wonka and an Oompa Loompa for Halloween in our very early 20s. And so I think we revisited it then, but I haven't seen this version since then. I've seen the Johnny Depp version. I haven't seen Timmy's version yet.
Yes. The false versions, as I say.
Yeah.
I rewatched a good chunk of Tim Burton's, but it was immediately after watching this one, and it just does not compare. You know, the opening to this, you get Pure Imagination playing, this great like orchestra, and you get conveyor belts of chocolate being made. It's just like, oh my God. Like, I paused this and went and got some chocolate for me and put some chocolate chips in a bowl for my youngest kid. We just sat there watching it, and he's just like, this is so great. You know, he didn't say this is so great, but he's like, look at that one and look at that one. And I'm like, yeah, look, like, oh, chocolate rules. Absolutely. I should say before we start, I am a choco nutso-holic.
A Choco Nutso-holic. That would be the name of Seth's candy bar.
Well, I don't know the name of my candy bar. I would want it to be something like mysterious. Kind of like a whatchamacallit.
Or like a white airhead, but for chocolate.
What?
No, the white airhead was the mystery flavor.
Oh, I thought you meant like...
I'm calling you an airhead?
Like a dumb white person. I thought you were
no.
White airhead.
Oh, no. No. Oh.
Okay, all right. Yeah. I don't know what it would be, but love chocolate. And maybe that might tint how I feel about this movie. But yeah. So what was it like revisiting it?
Well, like this movie has had such an impact on my personality and me as a visionary and me as a creative. From like my personal aesthetic style that I'm drawn to. Also, my love of hands and body parts.
Interesting. Okay. The
Yeah.
hands that grab the hats and coats.
Yes. I don't think I showed you this, but do I not have a picture for it to show you? Oh, darn. I'll have to pop one up. Oh. So I have a curtain in my
Hmm.
office. And so my gold hand came to hold it back,
Oh, very. Yeah, that's straight out of Willy Wonka.
but I didn't realize it. And I've
Right.
been obsessed with hands and as
Right.
hooks and body parts. Like I love that so much. But that really formed from watching Willy Wonka as a kid.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then also in school, remember, I think I told you this, like in elementary school, I would go in early and help the teachers like decorate the hallways for like the rainforest and stuff. Well, one
Yeah.
year was Willy Wonka themed. And so I would go in early and I remember painting gobstoppers from styrofoam balls and I
Oh,
just
very
love it
cool.
so much. Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I could talk for so long. Fortunately, we can't. So I guess growing up, I didn't think of this movie as a musical. Does that make sense?
Same, because last night when watching it to prepare for tonight, I forgot some of the songs in it. And I forgot how many there were. I mean, there's not tons of it, but like I forget Charlie's Cheer Up Charlie. I think because I
Oh
just
my
like blocked it
God.
out because I
Well,
can't stand it, to be honest with you. But I never thought of
mhm.
this as a musical either.
One of the things that really blew my mind when I kind of rejoined social media as an adult, because when we were kids, there was like AIM and then blogs and all, and then later in life I joined like Twitter and Instagram. And one of the things that blew my mind was finding out that there are many people around the world that always fast forwarded through Cheer Up Charlie. And in my house, it was like, go, just fast forward. This one sucks. So much so that rewatching it with my kids, I didn't know like any of the words. Like I could probably sing every song in this. And I was like, oh my God, like she's talking about Grandpa Joe in this? Like,
Yeah.
it's such a weird. Oh, I hate it so much. I still
Yeah.
hate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hate it.
I don't hate it as much as I did as a kid. Like now I can just kind of play through it. But yeah, it's not good.
The other thing I realized too is, oh, Wonka is a mad scientist. So I am
Wow. Fitting right.
very
Yeah.
attracted to that
Wow.
type. And
Wow.
I
Wow.
told, and
Wow.
Aunt was like, "Oh, this makes sense." And I'm like, "It makes sense."
Wow. 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 Have you revisited Dexter's laboratory
I
as an
haven't.
adult?
I haven't. Should I?
Well, he was a
No,
mini
I,
mad scientist,
yes, I
Yeah.
know.
Why did Dexter talk like that?
I don't know. It's a great question. I haven't thought about it.
Was he adopted? Did he learn to speak, from watching
Yeah,
movies or something?
I don't know. Great
I,
question.
I was thinking about Dexter a few days ago, and that's all I could think of. Why is
Why?
he?
Why were you thinking about Dexter?
Sometimes I think about the omelette du fromage episode. Do you remember that?
It's in there.
He has to like learn French for school, and so he says, "Oh, I'll just listen to this record as I sleep." But then the record skips as he falls asleep, and it just keeps repeating "omelette du fromage" over and over and over again. And when he wakes up, he can't say anything other than "omelette du fromage," which is, of course, omelet with cheese.
Yes.
Yeah, or cheese omelet, actually, probably. Anyway, you should
Anyway,
revisit it. Maybe you'd be like, "Oh, interesting."
let me add him to my list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you and your sister have a similar Dexter Dee Dee kind of dynamic there.
Wow, Seth.
Taller, younger
Yes.
sister,
Yes.
destroying your stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, check it out.
I will. I have to
Okay.
revisit it.
Yeah. So yeah, this movie's so like half and half, musical, not musical. Like it's like it won't fully commit to being a musical. And I found out Mel Stewart, the director, he actually like access denied them. They wanted to do a big musical number when Charlie finds the golden ticket, and it would be like the whole town kind of like dancing and singing, and he was like, I'm not doing that.
I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, so I think him as the director, he was a little reserved in shooting musical numbers. I think that really shows through in
Yeah.
the movie. Yeah, and not necessarily in a bad way, because I think the movie's great. You know who didn't think this movie was great?
Who?
Audiences when it came out.
Not a good response, huh?
No, didn't do too well. Mel Stewart, he had done documentaries
Yeah.
prior to this, and as the story goes, his daughter was reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. She wants him to do the book. Quaker Oats was planning on launching a new like chocolate bar, and so they fund the movie. The movie's filmed in Germany, but takes place in London.
Right. Like, there's no way this is taking place in America.
No, definitely. It's definitely not America. Charlie's family speak with English accents. Willy Wonka speaks with an English accent. Some of his parents sound a little German, but then his teacher and the candy guy speak with British accents. Hard to say.
Right. And then, Mike TV and Violet are clearly from the States.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So yeah, like, but I kind of like that it has like a odd feel to like where is it? Like it's
Right.
not like Willy Wonka lives in England or Willy Wonka lives in Germany or in America. It's kind of a place that doesn't really exist.
Right.
So Mel Stewart, I kind of I can't I don't know. I think so much of this movie like looks really good and is really well done, but is like a little odd. And the only thing that I can think is that you've got Quaker Oats making a movie, and
What do you mean by looks a little odd?
well, like no, not necessarily looks odd, just like is odd. Like this is kind of a weird movie. We don't really have like acts. Like there's not like 3 acts in this.
No, it's like 2.
It's kind of 2,
acts.
you know.
Yeah.
I think I owe it to Gene Wilder's performance and just the fantastical nature of the Chocolate Factory. But prior to watching this, did you realize how little time we actually spend like dispatching children and like in the different rooms?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like when I was a kid, I always felt this was so much longer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And it's not.
mm-hmm.
And then I forgot about certain parts. Like I don't know how I forgot about it, but the invention room, even though I remember the gum, the 3-course gum.
Yeah.
It was just, the pacing of it is interesting.
Yes, very interesting. We don't see Willy Wonka until I think it's about 43 minutes.
Yeah.
Into the movie. Yeah, 43 minutes and 43 seconds is when he first walks out from behind the door. I was like, wow, that's a big, bold move. And prior to that, we're doing a lot of jumping around. We're doing all the fake news broadcasts. I say fake, it's all fake. It's all a movie. The news broadcasts cutting to little scenes.
Vignettes. Yeah.
That have nothing to do with our characters. And then meeting all of the kids as they find the tickets. That's also kind of little vignettes. So, yeah. So that's what I mean. Like Mel Stewart, he hasn't made narrative films. Quaker Oats, they make oatmeal.
Yeah, right.
This whole odd thing came together. But it was a big deal. Like people were excited for the movie. Peter Sellers wanted to be Willy Wonka. Roald Dahl had a dude that he wanted to be Willy Wonka. And honestly, a lot of the names that I saw that were up for Willy Wonka, I was like, I can actually see like all of these kind of. But I don't know. Gene Wilder just brings something.
It's perfection to me.
Yeah.
This is just every single choice he's making is perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because he's not just like mean to the kids. At times he's encouraging. He's very sarcastic. His relationship with Veruca's dad throughout the movie is so weird. He keeps getting in so close to him and just whispering the weirdest things to him. And it, it's odd. It's odd. Like he definitely interacts with her dad more than any of the other parents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love all of his responses. So, but before we talk about him, let's talk about Charlie
Charlie
Bucket.
Bucket.
Yeah. How'd you feel about Charlie?
I think Charlie did a good job. I enjoyed his story in the first half, if we want to treat this as two halves. And then by the time we get to the chocolate factory, I kind of like lose interest in him. Maybe because we're following him along and he's our underdog and we're rooting for him. But I'm like more focused on Charlie's home life and how that's set up.
I think in a way, the movie kind of loses interest in Charlie, but I see it not necessarily as a negative or not necessarily as a positive. It's just in the first part of the movie, we're getting to know Charlie.
Right.
And we're seeing him and his family. And then once we get to the chocolate factory, we don't really need to see him because he's just a well-behaved boy who loves everything.
Well
Now
behaved
we're seeing
sometime. Like,
well, there is a villain to this film. And I think that that's why Charlie misbehaved. But
yeah.
so yeah, we're seeing the other kids kind of work out. And then once Mike TV is gone, it's just kind of like, oh, that's right. Charlie's been around this whole time.
Right.
Like,
right.
I think you're watching the bad kids. At that
Well,
point.
well, the bad kids are such exaggerated versions
Mm-hmm.
of bad and
Mm-hmm.
greedy and brats.
Yeah.
They're more interesting to watch when you put them all up against Charlie, especially in the chocolate factory setting.
Right. Right. Yeah. In the description of Charlie in the book, they say that he's not like faster or better or even smarter than other kids. Like he is very, very plain and normal.
Yeah.
And it's his goodness that is his like defining quality, which is interesting because in a lot of kids' books or young adult books, your main character will be like smarter if he's not strong or whatever. But Charlie's just a normal,
He's just
boring
kind.
kid.
He's just a
Yeah.
kind boy with manners.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So we find out Charlie's delivering newspapers and he brings home bread. And everyone is like, oh my God, bread.
It's going to be
Because,
a banquet.
yes, because they eat cabbage water, right? And then Charlie goes to give Grandpa Joe tobacco money.
Who is buying the tobacco for him? The mom?
It's got to be the mom, but I mean, look, back in those days, you could send a kid to the store for cigarettes.
That's true. And
You
I
know?
didn't discount that, but it just made it seem like someone else was buying it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Joe, you've been in the bed for 20 years. How smelly are we? Are there bedpans? Is the mom sponge bathing all of them?
Mm-hmm.
I have to disregard it. I have to
Well,
disregard
well,
it.
we're going to talk about them. We're gonna I want to talk about the big moment. So 30, let's see here. 33 minutes into this movie. So everything prior to this is just Charlie like getting beat down and losing and crying for 33 minutes.
Well, I mean, I think this is something to resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
You're a kid, you're excited for something, you want something so bad. You have so little to live for, and yet here is some hope of something exciting to come.
Yep.
So this is where I feel for Charlie. Like, yes, I'm with you, Charlie.
When they say, when he's in the other room crying, and you can hear them, and they say, let him have one last dream.
Oh,
It's so painful.
It's
and
so
it's like,
painful.
oh, yeah, that's right. Like, this is kind of all he has going for him. I mean, look, Charlie got a job. He's got money coming in now. Like, at this point, their life will get better than what it was prior. You know, we know that Charlie's dad in this version is dead. And so the mom is left to support 6 people.
Yeah.
Just boiling clothes.
Boiling clothes.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's how you do laundry?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Hot water and soap and a big wooden spoon. Right?
I guess. I don't know.
How else would you do laundry? I mean, yeah. I mean, you think if you were to wash your delicates, you do it in the sink with some.
Yeah.
How are you doing laundry?
Look, I'm not trying to be down on Mrs. Bucket, but when you watch that scene with her, part of your little, business-minded entrepreneurial heart doesn't say like, all right, Mrs. Bucket, come on, we could be doing better here. Like there must be a better way of doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like a laundromat.
But like the worst laundromat you've ever
Well,
seen.
I don't know how it worked.
Yeah,
Wherever she lives in whatever time period this is.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so Charlie rules. 33 minutes, he finds the golden ticket, and it's like his Ostrom's like he just sells it so well, and like the look on his face and the thought of like, oh my god, wait, maybe it's the candy bar that's in my hands, and I love it. It's one of the best moments in a kid's movie ever. Like it's so
good.
The
lead up to that is really good, right? Because he buys the one chocolate and he's like shoving it in his mouth because he's just like, I need to get this in. It's so good.
That is like someone on that set should have been like, don't let that kid do that. He's gonna choke to death. The star of our movie is about to choke to death.
It's so good though. It's like really how a kid would be. I think like excited to have a chocolate bar and then just to have the hope of, let me just bring one more home for my grandpa.
Yeah. My grandpa that I bring everything for.
Right.
Yeah. I have a question about Slugsworth. I have a theory. So we learn in the end that he's not Slugsworth. He's actually working for Wonka. And I always thought, like, how does he just so happen to be where all of them are found?
Please fill me in on your theory, because I would love to know why no one's concerned unless
Unless what?
He's like a supernatural creature and only kids can see him. Is that where you were going?
No, that's not where I was going.
You know what? Rewind. Take it out.
No, what I was going to say is that Slugsworth is planting the golden tickets, and that's why he's in each town when they're found.
Oh, I wasn't even concerned with that. I was just like, why isn't any other adult figure concerned that this man is whispering in a child's ear?
Well, there's a lot of adult child handling in this film. Like Bill, the candy shop owner, he's just like picking kids up and spinning them around, throwing. Yeah. He's another bad business owner. This is a movie of bad business owners. He's just like taking a scoop into a thing and be like, here you go. Wow.
For the children. The children.
What is he making? Like 10 pennies that day?
It works for him, you know?
So someone who would be much better with coins and stuff would be able to tell us exactly where they were. Because they'd be like, yeah, you idiot. That's a British whatever coin, or that's a German whatever coin. So that's my theory with Slugsworth is he's planting them. He's got to be.
But even if you're planting them, you have no idea who's going to buy them. So
but you're in the vicinity.
Like the salt factory, which is so great when Violet's dad on the boat is like, what business you in? And he's just like, nuts.
Yeah, nuts. And Violet's dad's like, okay. This conversation's over.
Right, but it would take. How would you even know? You would have to hang around, and then what if, like, you're doing a lot of traveling?
Yeah, but what other explanation is there?
He's a supernatural figure.
Okay, well, yeah, that. Send us an email. Let us know which one is more likely. All right, the bed, the grandparents, Grandpa Joe.
Let's get into it. Is there much? Do we just?
Well, or maybe we shouldn't get into.
We shouldn't get into it.
I do not want to get into that.
I don't think there's room. There's no room.
No.
This is so memorable, so I think it does work, and it really sets the foundation for Charlie's upbringing and who he is. But like 4 grown adults sharing a bed, sleeping head to foot,
Mm.
and they're all bedridden?
I guess.
This is not, with no help, this is not hygienic. This is, there is a health issue here.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no way that Mrs. Bucket can take care of them on her own.
No. I mean, as soon as you think about this practically, it makes no sense.
Right. And it's actually very sad.
We know about bed sores, you know?
Yes.
Like, Grandpa Joe would have swiveled his little hips out of the bed, and his legs would have fallen off. Because they would have been, you know, destroyed.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. He says that he hasn't even put his feet out. How are you pooping and peeing?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Where are the bedpans? And then if you're not, if you're wearing diapers.
We do see a chamber pot under the bed.
Okay, fine.
But how are you pooping and peeing?
Diapers. Who's changing your diaper?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Mrs. Bucket, absolutely.
Yeah, but even still, you need a Hoyer lift. You need someone
to... You do.
Yes. This is like too close to home. Not that
I have a question for you.
Yes. Yes.
The couples sleep shoulder to shoulder.
Uh-huh.
But then they sleep with the other couples head to foot, like you mentioned, right? So Grandpa George, Grandma Georgina, they're next to each other. And then their feet are opposite in between Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine. Do the couples cut the toenails of the couple opposite them?
Yes. And you know what? Probably because they have, I think, Josephine and Georgina?
Yeah.
Must have the strength because they're knitting all the time.
They're knitting all the time, and yet they can't make $1 for this family.
Right. Yes.
You know what I would do? Again, just trying to think, you know, economically.
Entrepreneurially?
I would have a sign above the door, bucket hats. And I'd be selling hats.
Such a good idea.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bucket hats.
Bucket hats. Hey, we've got 2. I mean, you think about it. 2 women working 7 days a week.
Yep.
You can make a lot of hats.
Absolutely.
They made the most ugly scarf on earth.
They knit that scarf. They're like, oh, we all did a section.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always knitting.
Yeah. That scarf was horrible.
It's just red. What do you mean?
No, it looked like crap. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Grandpa Joe. I had an epiphany about Grandpa Joe.
Yeah.
I always saw this story as Charlie and Grandpa Joe versus everyone else. Not versus, but you know, they are our home team. They love each other.
Yeah.
And so they're on the same team. And then rewatching it for this, I was like, I'm not actually sure that we're meant to like Grandpa Joe.
Do you feel he's opportunistic?
Well, I mean, much has been said in recent years as to just what a scumbag Grandpa Joe is. You know what I mean? Like, the general consensus is, yes, absolutely, you know? I mean, look, 2020, COVID happened. Everybody was inside.
Yeah.
I think we all became a little bit like Grandpa Joe. He was just laying around. He's depressed. I don't think that he has a physical ailment.
I know. We don't understand why you're bedridden for 20 years.
Yeah. Well, he says in the song lines like, I never knew that there was like a reason for living, basically. Like, you know, these are people who've had just terrible luck. Mm-hmm. You know, they've never had a upward mobility path in front of them. And so he's just kind of sunk into this, like, well, I might as well just stay in bed all day. And like, look, I can relate to that very much so.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you have to be like, I got to go to work.
Right.
You know, But when at the end, when they're leaving, well, one, Grandpa Joe makes him try the fizzy lifting drink. Bad influence.
Bad
And then
influence.
two, when Wonka yells at them and he's like, "You broke the rules, just like everybody else. The kids that I sent to the incinerators, you did the same thing that they did, so you don't get anything." Charlie obviously does what Charlie does, but Grandma Joe just like immediately turns and he's like, "I'll get back at him if it's the last thing. Oh, bah, bah, bah. If Slugsworth wants this, then he'll get," you know what I mean? Like, just immediately turns into this like horribly mean, nasty person, even though he knows that he broke the rules.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, Grandpa Joe's just rotten all the way through.
Yeah. He just
We
hasn't
just like him
gotten out.
because we see him through Charlie's eyes.
Well, I mean, that's true. And I definitely felt some of what you're saying last night while watching because it just doesn't make sense. Like, yes, you're depressed. Clearly, we don't really know physically why you can't get out of bed. You're clearly capable of holding a job.
Mhm.
Like, you over George, who's blind in real life, that I read the actor, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so he had.
Oh, I'm sorry for laughing then. Holy
And
cow.
so he had to follow a red light, like he had trouble with his vision
Oh my
to see
goodness.
where to look. But out of all of them, like Joe looks the most capable.
Well, do you know how old the actor was?
I don't.
Don't worry.
If you say 38,
Don't
I
worry.
am dig a hole and I'm jumping in. I'm done.
No. You're safe. You're in
Okay.
the safe zone.
Thank you.
But it's truly absurd. He was 64.
Wow.
Which means that he went to bed when he was 44 and never got up. He's like Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's your dad, right? That's Mrs. Bucket's father.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, and depending on family dynamic and their communication skills, but it seems like we have no resentment that he hasn't gotten out of bed.
Oh, no. I mean, she's just kind of like, "Oh, Dad, you always say that."
Right. Oh, you need
Yeah.
your tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, like you have
Yeah.
you have a bad habit, and this is what we're spending the family money on.
Mm-hmm.
All
Hey,
right. Yeah. How long
I'm
are we
right with
gonna
you.
stay on Grandpa
Like
Joe?
I said,
You know?
Grandpa Joe he's the villain of the movie. Like, truly, and I don't mean that in like a funny, haha, meme type way. Like,
No.
I really
Yeah.
was like, oh God, like Wonka is right. Like, I don't think it's that Wonka wants a kid so that he can manipulate the kid. It's like,
Well, I
because
don't know about that. That's such a weird ending.
well, Wonka says, "I knew I needed a kid, right? Because an adult would want to do things their way."
Yeah, so he just wants to mold a child that will do things his way.
But his way is the way of a child. And he can't, because he says, "I needed to find a child to give all of my secrets to," which is also a weird thing to say to a kid.
Very weird.
But I needed to find a kid to give all my secrets to, because if he gave an adult all of his secrets, they would use them as an adult would, where a kid will use them as a kid would. I know it's like I'm like really splitting hairs, and I'm maybe reading more into it than what is said in that very brief moment, but it made sense to me as I was watching it. It's like, yeah, like an adult would be tempted to maybe like overwork the Oompa Loompas or
But how is a
sell
kid
things.
supposed to run a place? They have no business sense. Yes, sure, they can hold the secrets and
Well, Wonka has no business sense. He's making an everlasting gobstopper.
yeah, but he's obviously doing something right. He obviously understands
Yeah.
business. He's
Yeah.
doing the books at the end of the day.
In his half office where everything's cut in half.
So whimsical. So good.
Yeah, I think, I don't know.
Also, it's a lot of pressure. Charlie just wanted to go there and get chocolate for life, right? And now all of a
Right.
sudden he's being handed a chocolate factory. It's like if
I
you
know,
gave
I know.
gave your son a chocolate factory and
I know.
this is what you have to do for the rest of your life. Here are the secrets.
Yeah, but what you have to do is invent and think creatively, and
Yeah,
you
I
know
know.
what I mean?
There's
Like,
pros and cons to this.
yeah. And if Slugworth has been monitoring the children
Yeah.
who are going to learn lessons that are like tailor-made to the specific rooms in the factory,
Yeah.
then perhaps they knew that Charlie would be a good fit.
Well, I think they did because he said, I knew. I just felt it.
I have to get this out there. I have to. I would jump out of a window if I didn't bring this up. It's one of my favorite sight gags, insane, absurd, craziest things I've ever seen. Every time I see it, I die laughing. When they go to Germany. Okay, wait. Let me start by saying this. I was a fat kid, okay? I was a fat kid who also loved this movie and loved Augustus Gloop and never was like, oh, this is horrible. This is a horrible mockery of my life or whatever. Okay, so just let me throw that out there. They go to Germany and they're interviewing Augustus's family. And they put a microphone in front of his dad's face while he's eating, and the dad just bites the microphone. He bites it up and then just keeps eating, and no one says anything or does anything. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. Okay. It's one of my favorite jokes. It's just one of my favorite jokes ever.
It's great because no one blinks an eye, and I think the mom just keeps on talking.
The mom just keeps talking. Everybody, the interview continues. No one stops
No
to be like,
problem.
yo, homie, you just bit my microphone in half.
Yo, homie.
Yeah. And he doesn't stop to be like, oh, this isn't
Nope.
sausage.
No.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Should we run through the kids?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Roll
so
call.
Augustus Gloop. You know, Augustus's big crime is being a fat kid.
He's a glutton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes out kind of... Augustus's feels kind of like the least deserving. Because when they go into the chocolate room, everyone's eating. And at that point, Wonka hasn't said, hey, don't put your hands in my river.
Right.
He does say stop.
The best part, the best way that Wonka delivers his stops every time. Stop, please, don't, murder,
amazing.
police.
Yes. When he falls in and Mrs. Gloop is like, do something.
Yeah.
Help, police, murder. It's so wild. But yeah,
But I agree. There was no warning of that yet. He does the whole song of like everything is edible.
And all the kids are told not to do something, or
Yeah.
they're warned not to do something. And that's when they get their punishment. So Augustus's feels the least. It's like, yo, he's just a chubby kid. Like,
you have a chocolate river?
Yeah, you got a chocolate river. Everybody should be over there lapping it up.
That's right. And he falls in. He didn't even have a chance to stop. He was too taken with it, you know?
Yep.
But you're telling me that I guess like Mrs. Gloop doesn't know how to swim.
I don't really swim that much, so.
Like it's just like no parent was like, I'm gonna jump in and try to save this kid. We're just gonna watch him go under and
well, yeah.
Up the chute. It's great.
So, yeah, it's great. It's very funny. I've always wanted to know how they did that.
Yeah, I know.
Just like shooting the body. I think this time around I saw that like the face kind of looks like a dummy. I'm sure they didn't actually propel a kid through a tube, but you know.
Yeah, I also noticed this time around, like with Veruca. Not with Veruca, with Violet when she blows up. Like you can tell when they roll her, that's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, up next, Violet Beauregard.
Oh my! Violet cracks me up.
I think she annoys me the most out of
When
all the
she's like,
kids.
"Hi, Cornelia. How are you, sweetie?
Yeah.
Love you." I die. Also, I get it. I'm a gum chewer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I do
yeah.
gum. But as a kid, I was like, I'm going to see how long I could chew a piece of gum for. And then you find out gum disintegrates after a few hours.
I know. Like, what kind of gum is she chewing that it'll last that long?
Yeah. But I should say, though, I think all of the kids actually do really well.
So well.
Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah.
even Augustus, who's around the shortest amount of time, I think they really lucked out with this cast, especially
Yeah.
Charlie. I mean, Charlie, like,
Yeah.
he's doing quite well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Violet Beauregard puts gum behind her ear when she's eating meals.
You got to save it.
No way. No. Disgusting.
It's crazy. I never
It's
did that. I never saved gum.
Why would you put it behind your ear?
Where else are you going to put it?
I just think of behind the ear as like the most disgusting place.
There's definitely worse places you could put gum on your body. How dirty is it behind your ears? Oh. He washes his feet, but not behind the ears.
I'm saying you gotta wash behind your ears for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's ever like, make sure to wash your elbows. You know, your elbows don't get dirty.
They could, though.
Well, so Violet goes out by eating a piece of gum that she shouldn't. Mm-hmm. It's a full course meal.
So cool.
Turns into a blueberry.
Yep.
I love this part.
Violet,
love you're turning violet is another thing that I've said many, many times in my life.
Yes. And also, I've just always wanted to try gum like that.
Well, good news. I think is it Lipton soup? Some soup company just put out soup in a candy.
Did we talk about this already? I'm having major deja vu right now.
We didn't, but just recently I was talking about how I wish that there was savory candy.
Where did you say that?
Maybe in conversation. I don't know.
With me?
Maybe.
I'm having major deja vu.
Well, yeah. So if you want to try it, it's like chicken noodle soup in a candy.
Isn't that just a bouillon cube?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Which, when I was a kid, I used to peel and lick them. Disgusting.
Like you're a rabbit with a salt rock or something.
Veruca Salt.
My favorite.
My favorite too.
My goodness.
By far.
Like she's, yeah.
Yeah.
Stupendous.
Let's see here. Played by Julie Dawn Cole. She is unbelievably good in this role. Every line that she gives is just funny but annoying. Like how she walks that line as a kid is amazing. And as I was watching it, I was like, she should have played Reagan in The Exorcist. Like this actress, she should have. Veruca Salt, she would have been close to the correct age. You know, maybe she would have been a few years too old, but put Veruca Salt in The Exorcist. Have her, puking up green and spinning her head around. The movie would have made even more money.
Veruca's so good, and she has the best song in this movie, I think.
She has the only song.
What?
This is something that I realized as I watched through it. Veruca is the only one of the kids, including Charlie, to get their own song. Because I've Got a Golden Ticket is really Grandpa Joe's number. And Charlie sings parts of it with him, but Charlie doesn't get his own song. Veruca is the only one.
Wow.
Which again is like, if this were a full-blown musical, every kid would be getting.
Yeah.
It'd be like, all right, now here's the Mike TV song.
Right. Yeah.
But nope.
Yeah, it's so good.
But her song is one of the best.
It's great.
And like, I don't know, can I go as far as to say iconic?
Yes.
Like, I Want It Now?
Yes. And like just the way she delivers the lines. If I don't get the things that I'm after, I'm going to scream.
Well, it's so she's talking, she's singing the song, and she's really, and then she like calms herself down.
Yes.
And then starts to be like, I want a party with rooms filled with laughter. And like it takes this like real psycho like turn where it's like, oh, you're not just a brat, like you're actually really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love her. She goes out by wanting a golden goose and not getting it, and so she's
She's a
determined
bad
to be.
egg.
She's a
I
bad
love the
egg.
way she goes out. And then the Oompa Loompa song to follow, where we get the lesson, is also my favorite.
I think so too. Yeah, the Oompa Loompa songs, they're not that good.
Yeah, but the way they're done and the wordplay and the typography on screen,
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I do like that message. That's like, you know, it's foolish to look at a bratty child and blame it all on them. Like,
It's the
you know,
parents.
the parents had something to do with why this kid turned out that way.
Right.
I love what her mom says. Happiness is what matters with children. Happiness and harmony.
At first, I'm like, is that the mom or is that the nanny?
Right. But it's like, you know,
Yeah.
people might get mad at me, but as a parent, you hear that a lot. It's like, well, it's really just important to provide an environment where your kid is really happy. And it's like, oh, yeah, you know what makes my kid happy? Eating ice cream and staying up until 2 a.m. So I think, you know, every once in a while, hey, you let them have the greatest night of their life and you let them eat ice cream and stay up until 2 a.m. watching Godzilla or whatever every night. No, like that's insane. But yeah, love Veruca. She's the best. I mean, even her outfit.
I know.
Like,
her
yeah.
mink.
Oh my god.
Mink coat.
It's great.
It's great.
And then last and kind of least, maybe my least favorite, Mike
Same.
TV.
Same.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad performance. It's just kind of.
No, and as someone who has always been obsessed with television, you would think I would relate most to him, but I don't. He's definitely my least favorite because he's obsessed with television, but to me, it's more like he's obsessed with what's on TV and violence on TV, and he just wants his gun, but he can't get it until he's 12. And
Yeah. It's like it's an
yeah.
angle. Like if I were writing a kid who is obsessed with TV, he would be super, super lazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he'd be like sedentary, where Mike TV is more like violent.
Yes.
And like, yeah. So it's definitely playing into the idea of like TV makes you violent and violent images make you violent. And I'm like, that's not really true. So
yeah.
I'm not really into
I get
it,
the
but
rotting your brain if all you do is stare at it. But he's not really like an example of a kid whose brain is being rotted. He has quite the imagination and yeah.
So he goes through the Wonka vision.
Yep.
I love the Grandpa Joe line. He's over our head in a million pieces.
This is a really cool part, and I love what they're wearing. I love the outfits. I love that we get a tiny, me in the little miniature. So I do like the way he goes out.
Yeah. And then he's little guy. They put him in the purse. Wonka swings him around a lot.
Oh my God, how good is that? Like take him to the taffy stretch room and just swing in the back. Oh man.
Yep.
It's
now I want to
good.
go back. I want to go back.
Yes.
The boat ride. Did you remember this? Were you freaking out?
Oh yeah.
A chicken gets its head cut off.
Yes. No, this is the part in the movie when I was a kid that terrified me.
Me too. Like
terrified me.
Genuinely scared me. I could see it when I closed my eyes. And I was not scared by a lot of movies as a kid. This freaked me out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would always cover my eyes when this part came up. And like watching it, I mean, I watched it last night. I didn't cover my eyes, but I'm like, this is dark. Holy moly.
Really
the
dark.
Images were being shown. What the
and
heck?
It's not just that it's scary, it's that it's disturbing.
Yes.
We're getting a lot of images of like insects and then like insects being eaten.
The beheading of the chicken.
The beheading of the chicken. So like there is violence in it. And then Wonka is giving this spoken word that's really odd. And he just screams at the end. I love this. And I love that this is part of this kids movie. I don't think there's anything like this in a lot of other kids movies.
No.
And it might scare kids, but maybe that's good sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this feels. I've always felt this way, but it feels like a horror movie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
like
like
Wizard of
this,
Oz in the same way also feels like a horror movie to me.
yeah,
And
and
these are
this
kids' movies.
scene kind of like cements that. And again, like thinking like Mel Stewart, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? If you read the book, right? Wonka's very different. Wonka is much more like a happy, flighty, imp kind of a guy. Like he's described as a short guy with like a pointy goatee. And yes, bad things happen, but he's kind of happier in this. Yeah, this feels like some very strange people were like kind of given free reign to do
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and they were like, "We're gonna do whatever." And
Yeah,
but I think we're all better off for it.
I think so. And overall, it does work,
Hmm.
and it makes sense for Wonka's character to me.
Yeah, yeah. Now on Wonka, my favorite part of the movie, apart from Augustus Gloop's dad, is pure imagination.
Mm-hmm.
When they open the door of the chocolate room and he sings, and we love Gene Wilder. This is Gene Wilder's third appearance on the show. And I cry. Like I cry not every time, but I cry listening to this song and how he delivers it. And like this idea of there is no life I know that compares with pure imagination. And we can hear that and say like, yes, the films that we live vicariously through, right? They're nothing compared to the life, our day-to-day going to work. And I think that's one way of looking at it. But the other way of looking at it is use your imagination and do things like
Mm-hmm.
that is that's I think the point of this movie is like everyone thinks Wonka's nuts. Like once they get in to meet him, they're like, this guy is insane and like not really enjoyable to be around. And sometimes that's what it's like with artists,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
But like, and then also the line, if you want to view paradise, just look around and view it. And he's not necessarily talking about just the chocolate room. It's like you can make things. I mean, to quote my favorite person from the OC, like life is what you make it. You know what I mean?
Donnie, season 1.
Donnie season 1, yeah. But like truly, like life is what you make it. Life without imagination and pure imagination. I love that they put that like little
Yeah.
qualifier on there too. Is you don't have to think, oh no, this is a stupid idea or this is a silly idea or what. Just let your mind go. However creatively you can live in your day-to-day life, do it and don't stifle that because nothing compares to being imaginative.
Yeah, and I think it's a good comparison and distinction away from capitalism too, because
Mm-hmm.
yes, Wonka has his empire and he's creating this candy, and obviously he's making some sort of money and he's very secretive about it. But using your imagination, you don't need much to do that. And these kids are obsessed with things and
Mm-hmm.
meeting and have to get in greed. And
Yes,
Charlie's
yes.
just so happy to have this one experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Great point. Like all of them are about consuming. Like we look at Augustus and it's like, well, obviously he's gluttony, right?
Consuming.
But they all are.
Yeah. In their own way.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
in their own
that
way.
that scene when we open to the chocolate factory is like one of the most magical moments.
I agree.
In
It's
my personal movie watching history, it's one of my earliest memories I have,
yes.
and being just like just
Yes.
so taken aback by the creativity used here.
Mm-hmm.
It-
And Wonka himself says, as we're hearing it and we're hearing that ding, 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 he says something like, stop, take a breath, hold it a minute or whatever. And
Mhm.
it's like the movie is priming you and telling you like, yes, like take
Yeah.
this moment in. It's similar, again, another door opening, but it's similar to when Dorothy opens the door into
Yes.
Munchkin Land and you see all the color and everything like that. It's great. It's really,
Yeah.
really, really great.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Oompa Loompas just for a second.
Sure. We have to.
We have to. They're great. They're iconic. And in the Timothée Chalamet Wonka, they decided that they were going to take Hugh Grant and just shrink him down into an Oompa Loompa instead. And there's this weird thing that's been happening in Hollywood where little people for so many years were only ever cast as Oompa Loompas. Or, I mean, even in Tim Burton's, they still cast a little person as the Oompa Loompa. They just multiplied him hundreds of times for some weird reason. I don't get why, but. And then it was like, okay, no, we want to be offered roles as just people. Like we are just people. And so we want to have roles that everyone else would have. And for like 2 years, Hollywood was like, great. And then they're like, we're not going to do that anymore. And so now, like the new Snow White that's coming out, they're all CGI. I looked up an article about this because I don't know why. I can't put my finger on why, but this is something that I think about a lot is like little people in films. I found this interview, and I'll try to remember to link it in the show notes, from The Guardian. And this is from August 19th, 2023. And they're talking with Mark Pavanelli, and he's an actor, he's an activist. He says, these roles as elves and leprechauns and gnomes and fantasy creatures would be much more palatable if the role you're playing after that was a doctor or lawyer or father or husband or love interest. He says that's just not happening. Neither is happening now.
Yeah.
And so there's this weird disconnect where Hollywood was like, okay, it's offensive to only cast little people as an elf. So now we're just not going to do that at all. So now they're not going to have any acting jobs. And like, it's very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. And I'm not part of that community at all. But, I don't watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and think like, oh, good for these guys.
Right.
But they still were getting jobs and they were still able to work and they were still able to act and do what they wanted to do. And now it's Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
Who's made through computers to look, it's not, he says later in the article, he says it's like a physical version of blackface.
Ooh.
And, I agree.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can't speak to it from a position of experience, but I don't like it. I don't like this direction that we're finding ourselves in of replacing people with computer.
Yeah.
So the ending.
The Wonka
Willy
Vader.
Wonka freaks out on him. How did you feel about that?
You get nothing! I mean, how often do we quote that and share that gif and meme, right?
It's awesome. I love it so much.
It's great. And then it just, like we talked about, how Grandpa Joe reacts. But then Charlie's the one who makes the decision on his own to give back the gobstopper, which I was thinking, I'm like, I think as a kid, I was a goody two shoes and I always followed the rules. I would have never, ever tried something in that factory if I wasn't supposed to.
No way. Yeah.
No way. But I could see myself keeping the gobstopper, but also never telling anybody about it. So it's so interesting to see Charlie be like, you know what? I don't even want a part of this. I don't want anything to do with you, and to make that decision. And so once he does that and Wonka's like, you passed, you won. And they go up in the Wonka Vader. I like it, but then I don't know. The end does not sit right with me.
How so?
It's just the language. It's like what we talked about of putting the pressure and giving this thing. Like I needed to find a child to trust because an adult would just ruin it. And your whole family can move in, and you need to watch the Oompa Loompas and all the things. And Charlie's like, wow. I mean, as a kid, you're like, wow, it's great. But also this can't, I don't know. It's a little twisted to me.
Yeah. And it's also a very abrupt ending.
It's very abrupt.
We really just like pump the brakes. Like, okay, it's over. There is a sequel to the book, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, which shows like the immediate after effects of what happens, and it's like not great. They like travel through space and meet aliens, and it's very interesting. And as a kid, I was always like, when are they going to make Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator? It's maybe the better book or just a weirder book, but they lean into the oddity in that one. But I see that, and I think a lot of people as adults, they see that little interaction at the end and like, wait, what? This is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I love the final line. And Charlie, don't forget what happened to the man who suddenly got everything he always wanted. He lived happily ever after. And even that like kind of makes me cry a little bit.
It is a really good line.
Because you stop and think about it, and it's like, right, not the man who won the lottery.
Right.
But the person who finally got everything they ever wanted. And as adults, we know that's not what's actually good for you. But as a kid, it's like,
yeah, it's magical.
It's magical. It's very
magical.
magical. Yes.
Yeah. I have
Did
one.
You have any other?
Yeah, I have 3 thoughts.
Okay.
The snozberries taste like snozberries is something I repeat weekly to myself.
Yep.
When Charlie and Grandpa Joe take the bubbles and they go up, I wrote down, I can't burp on demand, so I'd be dead, but Seth would be great. You would live.
I would be. Oh, yeah. I would be.
You would have no problem with that.
I wouldn't have gotten like 2 feet off the ground before burping.
I know.
So I would have known right away.
And I would have shot right up and shredded. And then one of my favorite lines is, oh, you should never, never doubt what nobody is sure about. And I just love that.
There's so many good lines. And
really good
I
stuff.
really feel like this could be like a 3-hour episode.
I know. And I have so much more, but we will move on.
Yeah. I always thought that we are the music makers and we're the dreamer of dreams. I always thought that was so mean of him to say. And then I thought about it and I was like, wait, is he including her in that?
I think so.
Like, hey, humanity, we are the people who have dreams.
Yeah.
We're the people who make music. Like, don't limit yourself, kid, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So this movie was made for $3 million, made $4 million. So not a great success. Apparently, I can't remember if it was Paramount. This flopped so hard that they just like didn't bother to renew the copyright on it.
Wow.
It's got a 92 on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.8 on Letterboxd, 67 on Metacritic. This is not part of the Criterion Collection, but this was included in the National Registry in 2014. And Roger Ebert, at the time of its release, gave it 4 stars. So
nobody's loving it, but Ebert's like, yes.
Yes. And they filmed this from August to November. So let's go into our happies and crappies.
It's time for happies and crappies. Happies and crappies. It's time for happies and crappies. Happies and crappies. It's time for happies and
All right, so my happy is just Gene Wilder. Like you said, everything that he says is perfect in this movie. Every choice is a choice. Like he's pivoting, you know what I mean? So often in conversation that it's not just like, let me deliver these lines. Like everything is a choice and each one is perfect. My crappy is Cheer Up Charlie. That song sucks. How about you?
My happy is when Wonka is sipping out of the candy teacup and biting it. And this lives rent-free in my mind. It is my most favorite. And last night when it happened, I screamed. My crappy is also Cheer Up Charlie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cheer Up Charlie sucks. No, thank you.
Sucks.
We have some friends on Twitter, what they thought. Benjamin Vargas at Ben Sower says, Grandpa Joe is the worst person in cinematic history.
Wow. Do all the VAR guys feel this way?
He's horrible. He's the worst. A Ton of Bricks at A Ton of Bricks says, a wonderfully entertaining movie and a Roald Dahl adaptation that doesn't excise the darkness and horror at the center of most of his tales. I want to know how Timothée Chalamet's Wonka turns from joyous rustabout to the pitiless misanthrope that we see here. And I agree. You didn't see Wonka. I saw Wonka in theaters. I really tried to give it a fair shake, but it's just not that great. And it very much is a prequel to this movie. Like, I don't want to give spoilers for Wonka, but there are very intentional connections to this one. And so it's kind of like, wow, yeah, he really does change a whole lot. Paul Muad'Dib at Trig Raptor says, the part where Willy takes them in the insectile tunnel to hell really scared me as a child. It'll probably still scare me as an adult.
I love that he called him Willy. I never call him Willy, just Wonka.
Oh.
I always referred, like when in this whole conversation, I've only
Right.
said Wonka. I never say Willy.
No, me either.
He's not.
Feels weird.
Feels weird.
Official webmaster John Butter at the John Butter says, love that Wonka's plan to find his successor was to almost chop up a kid with a fan and then yell in his face about it. And that's true.
Yes.
Guion Bach at Guion Bach says, Wilder made the part his own. No matter how game Depp was, it never had a chance to top it. Though I don't dislike the job he did, Chalamet is plain not worthy. Oh boy. So those are some people that we do know. Now we go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3 Star, 5 Star. So these are reviews from letterboxd.com, which is a website and an app where you can log, rate, and review movies. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a film. We go all the way up to a 5-star rating, which is the highest rating that you can give a film. And for the half-star review, do you have a request for a voice?
I don't know. Like I was going to say, can you do Wonka? But I don't know.
I think so.
Can you do like Augustus Gloop?
Augustus.
Augustus Gloop is so fun to
Wonka's going
say.
to have a very hard. He's going to. What does he say? He'll lose a fortune in fudge. Okay, here it is. Augustus Gloop.
Okay.
I would give it a 5 because it's a childhood classic. But I watched it again last year and it somehow triggered my insane fear of death. I can't listen to the songs, I can't think of this man or watch this movie without... Man, that fell apart. Without having an insanely gloomy existential crisis.
Wow. Yikes.
This person's having a hard time.
I'm so sorry.
And I kind of don't disagree with them. So, you know, this might be the half-star review that I agree with the most out of this whole show, actually. 3-star review says, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is like some sort of crazy acid trip. I definitely have to credit the imagination on display, and it's simultaneously childlike and psychotic. Gene Wilder is great in the role, and it's bright and colorful to look at. I don't have any nostalgia for this film, and it's not really my type of thing, but it's at least interesting.
Okay, all right.
All right, this 5-star review is long, but I had to read it, especially after our episode last week. So here we go. 5-star review. The moment when Charlie first discovered he's won a golden ticket. It's the same moment when Grant and Ellie first see dinosaurs. It's the same look on Marty's face when he sees a DeLorean vanish into the future, or when Wayne Zielinski learns his shrinking machine works. These are all holy moments. Moments that exceed the world as it is. Moments that convince us we no longer will continue in the world as it was. What was once considered impossible now becomes a living, breathing, face-to-face miracle. Fictions become facts, myths become truths, imagination becomes reality. Eureka! In the new world, we can win golden tickets, see dinosaurs, time travel, or even shrink our kids. The proof of this is cinema. Cinema is a declaration that the world must not and will not continue as it is. We dream our future into existence based on the things we imagine today. Never fall for the trap that cinema is only cinema. Is a diamond only a rock? Are people only meat in chemical reactions? Are movies only flickering images? No. Movies are more than movies. Movies are also reality. And if we believe in reality hard enough, we can make all of our dreams become realities. Kafka, channeling the most brazenly Willy Wonka insight imaginable, once said, By believing passionately in what does not exist, we create it. The non-existent is whatever we have not sufficiently desired. Believe in fiction, friends. Believe in imagination. Relish a little nonsense now and then, and never, never doubt what nobody is sure about.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
I want to shake that person's hand. I wish we could reach out to these people who read whose reviews we read. That was a really good one. I know you're like, we can. Shall stop. Don't shut it down. That was really good, though. Very good.
Isn't that great?
That was great. Wow.
So we rate a movie as a schmovie, a movie or film. We rate it 1 through 5 stars and give our final recommendations. So far, I'm the only one who's won a pickle.
I know.
So what's your guess for me?
For you, I wrote down 4 movie.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say that this is a 5-star movie.
Wow.
I know that that's insane and I know that's crazy. I genuinely believe that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is one of the best kids' movies ever made. It is a high watermark for children's films. And I think that the world is wide, but every person should watch this movie, preferably when you're a kid, when you're young enough to be scared of it and young enough to believe in it.
Were your kids scared of this?
A little bit.
Okay.
For you, I wrote down 4-star film.
Ooh, so wrong.
Oh, no.
This is a 5-star movie for me.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Are you
Holy
kidding?
cow. We both said the same thing.
I know. This is a perfect pickle.
Yes, on our pickle rating, this is a perfect pickle.
This, like I said, has influenced me in more ways, how I live my life, how I think creatively, my aesthetic design. Yes. And I love the message. Even though I have issues with the last, it doesn't matter. It doesn't negate it. I smile the entire way through watching this.
Wow.
This is a 5-star movie.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Food-uary is getting off to a great start.
I know.
So yes, on our pickle scale, we have a lot of different types of pickles, but a perfect pickle is not a specific pickle. It is the perfect pickle for you in that moment.
That's right.
That's right. All right. Going to our pickle tally. So far, still, I'm the only one who's won anything. So just 1 pickle. And very quickly, Michelle and I were gifted by my son for Christmas pickle flavored chocolate. And I thought that this would be a good time. Pickles, chocolate,
Yeah.
Good time to try it quickly.
Let's do it.
I promise to not chew too much on mic, but
Same. I can't get mine open. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's very forward-facing smell of pickle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the color is green, just so in case you're curious.
It doesn't so much taste like pickle as it really smells like pickle. Like I feel like there's just a pickle in front of my nose.
The smell is very strong. It actually just tastes like
White chocolate?
white chocolate with dirt on it.
Oh my God. Okay, that's pretty great. So does this movie pass the Seth Shell test? This movie must contain something tangible that is impressive, whether choreography, production design, or practical effects, and it must have a runtime that is justified by its content. And I say yes on both counts.
I also say yes on both accounts.
Wow.
Wow.
Those
are fireworks.
That's right. Hey, if you're seeing fireworks as you're listening to this, we'd love it if you give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. 5 stars, 1 star, who knows? I don't know. You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I would especially love to hear if you're hearing it, if you watched it for the first time, because that's got to be a different experience.
It absolutely is.
You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional shows, gives you access to our patron-only Discord. You get to vote on upcoming movies each month and monthly themes each quarter. And you get access to Michelle's Inner Circle. And you get to decode the message at the end of this episode. All for $5 a month. Come on, that's insane. And you get our undying love and friendship. All right, next week's episode. Very exciting. Talking about things that have never been on the show before. We're going to be talking about Do the Right Thing from 1989, directed by Spike Lee.
You've only been talking about this for 2 years, so mazel that you finally get to do this.
Very, very exciting.
Yeah.
You've seen this before?
I have. Yes.
Yes. Very exciting.
Yeah.
I won't say anything about it until we talk about it, but yes, this is a really big one for me. Well, hey, thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth. This was a great start to Food-uary. I just have to learn how to say it. Food-uary.
That's right.
Okay. Great
That's
start,
right.
though. Great. I'm
Yes.
so glad we finally did this because I really...
Me too.
This special one.
Me too. And thank you very much for listening. And remember, folks, my chocolate must never be touched by human hands. Till next week, thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Theme music by Jean Marie Vargas. Visit us at our website, moviefriendspodcast.com, and please subscribe and rate our show wherever you are listening. You can support Movie Friends at patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Thanks for listening.
Incoming. Message incoming. Message to Michelle's inner circle. Remember, kids, only Michelle's inner circle can decipher this week's message. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready.
Message number 4. 72. 44. 63. 53. 57. 44. 36. 68. 54. 83. 76. 85. 46. 54. 36. 86. 65. 64. 85. 64. 79.
Michelle is counting on you. Do not let her down.